Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Nur Izzati binti Mir Yusof with metric number EY9A0208. Today, my group, which is Group 6, will present about the environmental impact assessment of the Lower Saribas Agriculture Development Project in Malaysia, June 1996. First, I will start with introduction. The environmental impact assessment of the Lower Saribas Agriculture Development Project outline the potential implication of developing agriculture field in the Saribas Layar River Basin, Lowland Peak Bog. In this assessment, EIA also used their study, site visit and field survey, and a particular attention also has been given to the long-term consequences on the peat bog forest in the research area. Maludam National Park is proposed in the EIA report, and the Sarawak government has acted as the driving force behind the project.
Require high cost. The construction of measure on land and water management to preserve the existing hydrology. Dump it is more expensive. Not only that, the implementation of EIA requires high cost and the price is expensive. Secondly, the parties involved do not explain the pros and cons of a project that wants to be carried out in a certain area, means the advantage and disadvantage not explained more. And thirdly is problem in terms of slow management. Delay EIA report, EIA procedure that require quite complicated procedure to be carried out. Lastly, public involvement, lack of active public involvement during the phase in planning and implementation. Communication with the community is less effective. Most of the population is literate.
This is an anticipated environmental impact and mitigations measure. Impact and mitigations measure related to the locations. This is some of the identifications of the main project activities for each stage of the project and of the existing environmental impact due to project activities. So the first is impact on the river water receiving drainage water. The drainage and seepage water from reclaimed peat swamps is acid and of poor quality of most purpose. The dark brown color fans develop at the interface of the natural waterways and the drainage water. The brown coloring is due to the soft pectin substance and the forming to saponification reactions of the organic substance. In the study area, this phenomena already occur because all the peat swamps drain naturally into the river. Is a salinity instructions. The presence of the saline and brackish water in the river with fluctuating height and low water levels twice a day requires gate drainage outlet. If salinity intrusions in the reclaimed area is to be avoided, so the requirement of this gate has been incorporated in the designs of the project. Is a mitigations measure related to the locations of the project. Site selections, criteria and environmental protections to minimize or to prevent negative impact on the environment. This is some of the following criteria for site selections have been applied. First is no encroachment on undisturbed forests, PFEs, important wildlife habitats, and spawning and breeding sites of aquatic organisms. Second is the area where peat level is below gravity drainage level are not to be considered for agriculture development. Alternative uses suggested forest reserve and wildlife sanctuaries. So the last is special drainage provisions and adequate buffer zones are to be included for selection site at the riparian of peat domes. This is to avoid drainage and irreversible changes in adjacent natural peat swamps.
Impacts and mitigation measures related to ecosystem, wildlife and biodiversity. First impact is lowland areas that had been converted into pumps or pit bogs in the SLF have caused the habitat of flora and fauna to decrease due to the logging, hunting and so on. So for mitigation measures, there is an urgent need to set aside a large and contiguous area of pit bogs forests for the permanent conservation of tropical pit bog ecosystems. Such conservation and area will also support sustainable development because that area will be the only one with the most important freshwater reservoirs for domestic water supply. So secondly is impacts and mitigation measure related to constructions. First impact is erosion risk during drain construction. Secondly, impacts on drainage water quality during drain construction. And last is erosion risk in upland. So for the mitigation measure is first erosion control. Potential erosion assets have been taken into account site selection, especially in island areas. The plan is to develop the pump in stage for minimize disturbance to natural vegetation and the size of area exposed to erosion for any time. So this time is impacts and mitigation measures related to operation. The first impact is long-term charges in soil properties and long-term impacts on water quality, and the last impact is long-term impacts on fisheries and aquatic. So for the mitigation and measures for the operation is first, very safe and timely use of fertilizers and herbicides can reduce this negative impact on the environment. And second is fertilizer and chemicals should not be used during the rainy seasons. The material used during wet months is likely to be washed, which reduce its effect, and at the same time it increase the probability of contaminating surface water.
This is my part alternative definition. Alternative is a possible course of action in place of another that would meet the same purpose. And next, it is related to both this element of a proposal. First, the environmental factor with direct impacts on agricultural productivity, such as planted and drivability, as well. The indirect consequences are taken into account in the site selection criteria used to identify the areas ideal for the development of oil palm. Second, the balanced regional and resources development approach used for the proposed project offset the loss of environmental function caused by the conversion of some areas to agriculture use. Lastly, the proposal project includes the establishment of a sizable national park in a viable swamp forest in conjunction with the development of infrastructure and the establishment of plantation. Economic assessment. Definition economic assessment is the process identify, calculate and comparing the cost and benefit of a proposal in order to evaluate its merit either absolutely or in comparison with alternative. All environmental mitigation costs have been incorporated into cost estimate of the project, and environmental benefit from the national park have also been included in the economic analysis of the project. The cost-benefit analysis of the project include a number of project scenario sensitivity tests based on variation in technical parameters. The benefit from this activity will be incorporated in the research result that will allow the promotion of sago on a larger scale when information on is available, the type and cost of the different drainage regions. One of the benefits of the proposed national park is the value associated with biodiversity conservation.
For institutional requirements and environmental monitoring, firstly, the EIA study includes a comprehensive environmental monitoring plan, which is EMP, that includes costs, projections, institutional reporting needs and parameters for monitoring water quality, agrochemical usage, impact on aquatic life, changes in forest and wildlife, and other impact based on public consultations. A local private environmental consulting firm should handle the EMP according to the EIA, especially during the early stage of implementation. Several components of the EMP could be taken on by the implementing agency after the project's operations are transferred to the Sarawak Land Consolidation and Rehabilitation Body, with periodic audits by a separate authority. Furthermore, the Maludam National Park has been given a management plan that includes a zoning plan that details what local communities are permitted and not permitted to do in each zone. The Maludam National Park will primarily be managed by the Forest Department, although it is anticipated that the communities in and around the park will actively engage in overseeing the protective measures. The DOE in Kuching will be in charge of keeping an eye on agricultural and industrial activity like the proposed palm oil plant. Several of the environmental monitoring tasks will be carried out by the organizations participating in the project's implementation during the building phase. For example, the Department of Irrigation and Drainage (DID), which will be in charge of building all access roads and lowland flood control drainage schemes, as well as operating and maintaining them while the schemes are being built. As for the public involvement, the beneficiaries of the project have been encouraged to participate in its development, execution, and evaluation throughout the project's design process. A strategy for indigenous people has been created, and a social baseline study defining critical topics for public involvement has been carried out. There needs to be more things undertaken to engage the public more actively. To be able to effectively communicate with the community, the individuals assigned to implement the project must attend development communication training. Given that the majority of the population is illiterate, it will take a lot of time during the planning and implementation phases to verbally explain the project's concept and goals to the populace. Moreover, the Longhouse Committee important presents younger community members, and the more reserved community members should all be involved in conversation, meetings, and focus groups. The ideal goals and advantages of the project, target dates, work processes, and work schedules should all be reviewed and agreed upon during these events. She managers should talk to people, especially women, throughout implementation about work schedule and goals for the month or year.
Okay, in conclusion, this EIA for the project describe the state of the current environment and any significant possible effect of the project activity. The project won't produce a lot of air pollution and it won't pollute the waterway much either, but using agrochemical might have some effect that buffer and drainage control will help to lessen. Additionally, the potential issue with pit soil drainage and soil erosion on upland side have been examined and mitigation solutions have been suggested. After that, the project will eradicate poverty by creating jobs for OPA participants and the surrounding community. Project will also boost social amenities. Next, the proposed project shouldn't cause major environmental issue. The proposed project, planning, construction and development management can prevent or minimize more consequences. Then, identifying negative environmental impact and their costs have been incorporated in the project cost estimate. Malaysia and Bank Environmental Guideline for Agriculture and Natural Resources project propose appropriate engineering design and precautions, and EMP defined the institutional framework for reporting and monitoring certain environmental risks and mitigation strategies. Next, the project design incorporate the peat bog conservation important. The project include a 43,147 hectare national park. This component will show that the project follow as a sustainable approach to lowland peat swamp forest conservation. The EIA assessment also recommend that the project be approved by the Sarawak National Resources and Environment Board and implemented based on the steps included in its design to prevent negative environmental consequences. That's all from our group. Thank you.